gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Murphy, to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Yellen. I introduced a bill this morning requiring the Treasury Department to report to Congress on the impact that recent U.S. tariff increases are having on inflation. You know, these tariffs were imposed by the Trump administration and have largely been retained by the Biden administration. And they include the Section 232 tariffs that some of my colleagues have already mentioned, Section 301 tariffs on a lot of products from China. And then there was also the expiration of GSP, which allows certain products from many low-income countries to enter the U.S. tariff-free. But when the program expired, tariffs went up on all of those products too. My bill would basically require Treasury to examine the inflationary impact of these tariff increases individually and in the aggregate. And I know I don't have to tell you this. You know that tariffs are the equivalent of a tax on American families and American businesses. And yet I think these 232 tariffs are kind of hard to justify on national security grounds, and they've definitely alienated our partners. And then when you look at the 301 tariffs, they've failed to change China's abusive trade practices, and they've actually just ended up hurting American households and companies. And I keep hearing that these tariffs gives us leverage over China, and that just to me feels at this point like a stale talking point and not really rooted in reality. But in light of the high inflation in this country, I think the case for repealing or reducing these tariffs becomes even stronger. And you may be familiar, but the Peterson Institute estimates repeal could reduce inflation by 1.3%. And while it wouldn't solve the problem, it would be a meaningful step. And I think for American families and my constituents, every single dollar of price relief counts. So basically my questions for you, Secretary Yellen, are, first, do you believe these tax increases contribute to inflation? And has your agency estimated the inflationary impact of these tariffs? And if you haven't, do you think the federal government should conduct this study just like outside economists have? You know, you don't need my bill to pass in order to undertake that kind of study. You could do it right now and have the information for a way to address inflation that is hurting so many American families.
So we're currently reviewing our tariff policy, certainly with respect to China. And, you know, I think some reductions may be warranted, could help to bring down the prices of things that people buy that are burdensome. I want to make clear, I honestly don't think tariff policy is a panacea with respect to inflation. Goods account for only a third of consumption, and it's not clear exactly what the incidence and pass-through would be. But it's certainly, look, we inherit, China has been guilty, I believe, of many unfair trade practices. And we have reasons from national security in terms of supply chain resilience. We may have very good reasons to...
When do you think you will be making some of these decisions? What's the timeline? Because our constituents are suffering from inflation, and any little bit of help would matter greatly to them, and they can't wait on us to drag our feet on this.
The administration is looking at this now.
Thank the gentlelady. Let me recognize the gentleman